Welcome back to the Playing with Power podcast, where we talk about everything EDH, CEDH, and Magic the Gathering. I am one of your hosts, DefCatMTG, and I'm here with Hire.
What up, guys? It is me, Hire MTG. I'm excited about today. I'm so excited about today. More excited to introduce our other co-host, Zeb. What's going on, big dog?
Everything's going on, Hire. Thank you for asking. I am doing great today. Hope you're doing great watching us. And you know what? Let's just dive right into it. Jay, what is the theme
we're going to dive
of the day?
into it today. Okay, that's fair. We're going to be a little saucier with the topic today because it is one that I think has a lot of discussion into the nitty gritty. Every single person wants to talk about their favorite deck or maybe their favorite combo. And obviously with so many new cards coming out consistently from Wizards of the Coast, that is a big topic. But man, oh man, have there been many combos lost to the wayside, lost to history, lost to even decks we don't play anymore that have either resurfaced due to the meta and or have been upgraded. And we would like to talk to you about those combos and how many should you actually be running in a deck? Hire, you're known for running a lot of big cards, but are you running a lot of combos?
These days, yes. I'm listen. In a lot of the decks that I make, I like layered combos. I like combos that go with each other in so many different forms. I think the best iteration of that is probably in Kenrith, the Return King. That is, by the way, so much text for one card, right?
Absolutely.
5 abilities on the commander. And in that deck, we are running a lot of the combos that we're going to talk about today. And it's because it's 5 colors and it just wants to make infinite mana. Like if it makes infinite mana, you win the game. If you have a couple cards like Thassa's Oracle or Underworld Breach, you win the game. So I love running layered combos in my decks. And I think you should run as many as you want.
Yeah, layered combos. That's the name of the game too. You want things that work with each other. That's a big part of what we're talking about today. Zeb, I know you're playing Lotho right now. That's been a big hot thing for you. What's going on in Lotho with combos?
Yeah, so Lotho is an extremely layered combo-based deck. It definitely wants like redundancy. I actually run some cards that a lot of other decks run more towards for just value, but because of the way that the deck works, it actually is also a combo piece, right? So like I can run Orcish Bowmasters and then sneakily get a win off of it because Abdel Adrian plus Orcish Bowmasters is a win condition, right?
Yeah.
The same goes with Bolas's Citadel. Like other people are just like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're just going to go Bolas's Citadel and Sensei's Divining Top. Cool, good value. And I'm like, no, I'm actually going to go infinite, make a bunch of guys off of Abdel Adrian and Bolas's Citadel blinking in and out, and then I'm going to sacrifice 10 of my guys every time I get to 10 with the Citadel, reset it with Abdel Adrian, and I've just domed everybody for 40. You game over, right? So
we forget it's got a second line of text, man. It's not just
line of
playing off the
text.
top.
Yeah, that would get me.
And very much like Lotho is one of those decks that needs as much redundancy as possible. We got to layer those win conditions because it's somewhat fragile because a Swords to Plowshares, out of nowhere will just end the combo. So you need to be able to really quickly switch to another version of the combo that exists in the deck and try to go from there, right?
Yeah.
So it's very similar to like why Thassa's is Thassa's plus Demonic or Tainted. Thassa's Oracle plus Demonic Pact or Tainted Pact. You need at least a bit of redundancy there.
Yeah, and to even go into quickly what you just said about Bolas's Citadel, a lot of you have heard it say you may look at the top card of your library at any time. If you may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than playing its mana cost. But it says tap, sack 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. It has alternate ways to win.
That is if you had presented a loop with this Abdel Adrian and Bolas Citadel on the battlefield, I wouldn't have cared. I would have been like, all right, bro, you have like a million dudes. Anyways, you got any other game actions? Yeah, I'm gonna activate Bolas Citadel. Oh.
Activate?
Oh, oops. Oh, oops. Meanwhile, you're looking at me like, yeah. Oops. That's all you got to say now, huh? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough if you don't like read the card.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, that's really hot. I like that. That's a good CDH combo. That's a good
So
combo.
obviously, the meta has changed a lot since the banning of the big three that we've all been chatting about for almost now a year, by the way. We're coming up on a year anniversary in a few months here on that happening. What has changed mostly has been that our combos are less and less reliant on our commanders, and they're beginning to become very value engine friendly, such as, and this is the first one I want to bring up today, Valley Floodcaller being a massive card in any deck, almost a required piece now to really fight in the current meta, that we also realized, hey, it has an infinite combo with Banishing Knack and Retraction Helix, which I'll read. It says, until end of turn, target creature gains, tap, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. You use that onto Valley Floodcaller. Once you tap Valley Floodcaller in order to put Soul Ring back in your hand, you recast it, and Valley Floodcaller untaps due to its third line of text. Whenever you cast the non-creature spell, untap it. So you can infinitely tap and untap using Banishing Knack or Retraction Helix to infinitely play your Soul Ring, getting an infinitely large Valley Floodcaller and infinite mana. And so the thing is, every card we just mentioned, Banishing Knack, Valley Floodcaller, Soul Ring, those were already cards we were playing in Rogsai. Some of us naturally went, we accidentally put a combo in the deck.
Yeah,
Like, that's the
really
bar
cool.
now for combos.
Yeah. I think it's really important when it comes to CDH in general, to have combos that make a lot of sense with the pieces themselves being good, and then the cards together being a winning lead.
Yeah.
I as a Valley Floodcaller player, I've never personally gotten a Banishing Knack Retraction Helix combo to work for me, particularly because Banishing Knack by itself is okay.
Yeah.
It's like pseudo removal. But I do see the benefit of running this combo because the combo itself is 4 mana.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Mm-hmm.
And what's cool is that you can flash out Valley Floodcaller, which gives you instant speed access. And in end step, and then from that point on, the combo's live. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
Being able to have not only a thing that says you can cast non-creature spells at instant speed, and have something that can just say, "Oh, I'm." If you have a Thrasios in your command zone, this says, "Play Valley Floodcaller, untap, cast Thrasios, pass."
Yep.
And you just wait for your opponents to do their thing. I love that. I think that's really, really good.
Yeah. And a large portion of why anyone was even running Banishing Knack to begin with was in Roger decks, because Roger came out and immediately after turn 1 was live for Banishing Knack as removal. And so it's much better in Roger decks. But the large thing we're talking about here is how many of these combos realistically should you be running? Because the game's been out so long, CDH has been such a thoroughly picked through, environment that we have an insane amount of combos that we could go through. And I would love to just name a few. We're going to kind of go down a list here today on the podcast and talk about maybe why we're running it, why we used to run it, and why we aren't anymore, and should you be running it. And so, Zeb, you got the list in front of you, bud. I would love to hear you bring up one of the combos that you'd like to talk about. Is there anything on the list today that we have?
Yeah. So here's one that's a little bit, I feel, out of favor, and I'd love to talk about why. So this is going to be Auric Salvagers and Lion's Eye Diamond.
Yep.
And this is an old one. This one has existed forever, like way before CEDH ever existed.
Even EDH.
Yeah, for real. And so let's read Auric Salvagers really quick. They're 3 and a white for a 2/4 human soldier that says tap 1 and a white, return target artifact card with converted mana cost 1 or less from your graveyard to your hand. So obviously you have your LED, you either crack it or pitch it beforehand, pay the 2, return it to your hand with Auric Salvagers, play it, crack it for 3 white. You're going to generate 1 white every single time. And then after a certain point, you can actually go into other colors after you have enough white mana. The problem is that, like, Auric Salvagers kind of plays just that one role and is extremely easy to remove. And there is just removal out the wazoo in this CEDH environment anymore. So I haven't seen it in a while because you really, really need to have like a dedicated combo for it to want it in your deck at all anymore. I think like mono white artifact centric decks might want to run it, but like I haven't seen it in ages personally.
The only deck I can see still running this, who just is teaming for more combos, is Brea, who actually does something when an artifact is either sacrificed or enters. And so any commander that cares about an artifact being sacked or put onto the battlefield and as a payoff might still run this.
Actually,
For sure.
Brea's a really good. I was literally thinking about as Zeb was talking about what commanders would want to see this, and I was like, well, I want to be on a deck that cares about infinite mana, and Brea does care about infinite mana, and runs all the colors because the idea here with Auriok Salvagers is you want to be able to silence your opponents first. That is the goal. As a person who's played a lot of this because this was a main combo in Kenrith, I talked about that earlier. That like you are really looking for that idea of I'm going to play Auriok Salvagers. My opponents know I have LED, and now I'm going to put silence out to make sure my opponents can interact, and then you're good to go. Like you do the line, you make your infinite mana. To note, it also works well if you have a way to reduce the activation cost. So if you have Training Grounds or any of these cards that say like the ability costs less, if you bring it down to 1, then there are some cards that also go infinite with it, especially if you can make the mana that you get from those cards more. So like if you have Kinnan, then Lotus Petal goes infinite here. It's just right. Like this is just how we are able to try and get around some of the challenges that you might see with this. I love it. I love this deck. I love this I love this combo. It has aged out because it is clunky because Auriok Salvagers alone, we talked about how good we want the combo pieces to be by themselves. Auriok Salvagers is garbage by itself. So it's really challenging for me to think what else would I want to get out of Auriok Salvagers. If I'm in a artifact heavy deck, maybe, right? This is recursion. But it has to be in a specific deck for sure.
Yeah. And I think if you look at this and you think about it in the same way that you think Dramatic Reversal and Isochron Scepter. So Isochron Scepter, for those of you maybe are newer to CDH and haven't seen this combo, says imprint. Whenever Isochron Scepter enters the battlefield, you may exile an instant or sorcery or an instant card from your hand that's mana value 2 or less. You do 2 colorless and tap. You may copy the exiled card. If you do, you cast it without paying its mana cost. As long as you imprint Dramatic Reversal says untap all non-land permanents you control. So if you have a Soul Ring and Isochron out with Dramatic Reversal imprinted on it, you have infinite untaps. Now, if you have anything else that also produce mana, now you have infinite mana of any color. And now if you have something that you want to tap and activate, you have infinite activations of that as well. And it very easily wins with any deck that can sink infinite mana. Another one that does this in a even riskier fashion than Auriok Salvagers and Lion's Eye Diamond is World Gorger Dragon and Animate Dead. So this is the ultimate blowout combo. There's a very big reason that we could all sit here and talk about why we don't run this anymore. World Gorger Dragon says, when it enters the battlefield, remove all other permanents you control from the game. And then when World Gorger Dragon leaves play, return all of them under their owner's control. You animate Dead, the enchantment, onto World Gorger Dragon, which reanimates the creature. But Animate Dead says, if this leaves the battlefield, the creature goes back to the graveyard. And so you exile Animate Dead, World Gorger Dragon hits your graveyard, and you have an infinite loop of reanimating and animating World Gorger Dragon. And so, one, you also need a way to stop the loop. Otherwise, this is just a game draw. It's just never ends.
Yeah, that's very scary. If you have if someone exiles all the other creatures in response to your World Gorger Dragon, you're like, this combo never ends.
Yeah.
This is a draw.
And also, for anyone that is new to this interaction, because Wizards has been phasing it out almost entirely, is World Gorger has two separate clauses for the exiling everything and the returning everything. So if you exile or kill the World Gorger while its ability to exile everything is on the stack, everything that you exile with it stays in exile permanently. So that's why it's super, super fragile. And that's why a lot of people, a lot of players will go towards Abdel Adrian, Gorian's ward instead, is because he is all one clause for both exiling things and returning things. So if someone Swords to Plowshares him in response to his ability going on the stack, it just fizzles and nothing bad happens to you. You also don't have to choose the animate dead when you choose the things that go away because of Abdel. So it's a lot more controllable, a lot safer, more powerful. It just blows the World Gorger out of the water. I guess if you were really hankering for that kind of an effect and you've got access to both colors, you could still try to run them for redundancy's sake. But man, you'd be really stretching yourself thin trying to do something like that.
So now we're talking about our big point. How many combos should you run? And I think, Alex, you're the perfect person to ask this question. So I'm going to state it clearly for you and for our viewers here. If I'm running a commander that wins with infinite mana, why not run 42 card infinite mana combos? Why wouldn't you want that?
Fair. That's a good question. One of the biggest things about CEDH that I think makes it different than EDH or any other sort of like casual version of Commander is consistency, being able to consistently do what you want to do in the deck. If you run 42 combo packages, that is a life you can live. That is good. Have fun. But what you'll end up seeing is that your deck gets clunky. You want there to be a certain amount of card draw. You want there to be a certain amount of interaction, because while you can try to always push for a win, what will end up happening is that you'll get stopped, and you'll get stopped so hard that you'll never be able to come back, and your deck won't have the backbone that it needs to be able to bounce from being stopped. And I've noticed there are some decks in the format that are on this style of play. A good example is like Keurig, right? Keurig says, I can now pay life instead of the black pips, and I can just cast Keurig for 4, and next turn go for it. And I got stopped. Okay, I'm gonna go for it again. I got stopped, and my commander got removed, and now I'm out of the game. And with this, it's safer to be on 3 or 4 cards, that 3 or 4 different ways to win the game, and have a lot of cards that can support that strategy. So in when I say support, I'm saying Rhystic Study, Mystic Remora, right? These cards support strategies. If you are in a non-blue deck, there's a possibility that you're running like Sylvan Library. If you're in red, you have Underworld Breach. I don't know what to tell you. That's right. But you really want to have cards that can support the strategy, can help you bounce back, come back from getting blown out from someone's counter spell that stopped your main win con. Blue Farm is really good at this, being able to navigate, right? So I've seen Blue Farm decks win even though their main win cons are out of the deck. They Tainted Pact, or they did Demonic Consult, but when they did a Demonic Consultation, it wasn't to win, it was to look for a specific card, and in that process it exiled their Breach, their Oracle. And now they're like, okay, what do I switch to? What can I do now? It's like, okay, well, I can still do X, Y, and Z because my deck is built to be resilient and has a lot of support cards to be a backup to the main win con. So I'd say 4 or 5 win cons should be fine.
Right. And I think a big part that changes that is tutors. It's the fact that we don't want another variant of the same combo. We want the already better version of this where all the cards within the combo are uniquely still valuable to the deck outside the combo. And then to find it easier, we want card draw and we want tutors. And then by the time you've put together a properly built deck with, good amount of interaction, counter spells, removal, card draw packaging, value for your commander, and then you put in these combos. Normally, by the time I put in the staples and all the interaction properly and then tutors, I'm looking at maybe 11, 12 cards left I can put in the deck. And most of the time, those are dedicated to the combo slots, but it can be even smaller than that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, it's super tough because there have been times when I've been looking at my list and gone like, man, I would love to have one more tutor style effect, but I really, really need like another removal piece, because sometimes you'll find that you can burn through all of your removal or counter magic in one game of CEDH and wish you literally had one more. And having a tutor piece in that slot doesn't change the fact that your deck doesn't have any more left. And so it is a big fight for all that real estate in your deck. And I do believe that I've found that like about 10 pieces of combo, unless you start to getting into what I love to do, which is having pieces that, serve multiple purposes, it could be a combo piece and also be a piece of removal somehow, right? Then you can kind of like edge up higher. But like 10 is kind of the sweet spot I've found.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of being able to like swap out cards for multiple things. I know that in Kinnan, I have really focused on Devoted Druid. And Devoted Druid's on this list of combo pieces. And the biggest reason why is because, one, you want to make infinite mana in Kinnan. That's like a really important aspect of the deck. And two, it's really easy to go infinite with Devoted Druid. And the cards that want to go infinite with Devoted Druid, I also just like Machine God's Effigy. I like just having a clone that can't be killed. Machine God's Effigy, a Orcish Bowmaster, is the best thing. It's so good.
Yeah.
Just you're like, oh, my Bowmaster doesn't die to your Bowmaster. My Bowmaster actually just kills your Bowmaster. So
that's gross.
Yeah, it is gross, right? But also, like, there are a lot of lines in the deck that aren't necessarily just geared to win with Devoted Druid. They're just geared to just be support pieces as well. So a good example is I have Enduring Vitality. How does Enduring Vitality work with Devoted Druid? Well, it's really cool because you can clone Enduring Vitality, and if that clone dies, it comes back as an enchantment of Devoted Druid, and now can go infinite because it's now just an enchantment. So in effect, all of my clones can become a win con. Enduring Vitality is also very good on its own. It's very, very good on its own. And so we are now layering more and more and more. And like, while I only have one Devoted Druid, right? That's a win con, right? That is a combo. I have a lot of pieces that can support it and function on their own without having to have a Devoted Druid on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Really quickly to that, it's why Agatha's Soul Cauldron is so busted, right? Is because it's just an additional copy, more or less, of every single one of your activated ability creature combo pieces. It's just like, oh no, you killed my druid and I don't have a way to reanimate it or get it on top of my library. Well, I just have it anyway. So
yeah,
I still got it. I still got
it.
And on top of that, now Entomb says immediately put this ability of a creature onto the battlefield as long as you have Soul Cauldron out.
Yeah.
But that's a great segue into why today's meta is so crazy, is the card quality is so freaking high. Hazel's Brewmaster is the perfect one to bring up. So Hazel's Brewmaster came out fairly recently in terms of like a card that's now a staple. It's a recent staple. I think it was either late last year or early this year. Hazel's Brewmaster reads, whenever Hazel's Brewmaster enters or attacks, exile up to one target card from a graveyard and create a food token. Again, not just your graveyard, a target graveyard. Foods you control have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with Hazel's Brewmasters. So that means Hazel's Brewmasters can enter and steal any activated ability, and the one we really want is Devoted Druid. That way, Devoted Druid can go infinite and not kill itself to its own -1/-1 counters due to the fact that it is, in fact, a food token. And for the most part, Hazel's Brewmaster has replaced the card Swift Reconfiguration in most decks due to the fact that it just works better, although it isn't flashed in like Swift Reconfiguration does, which is why some people still run both, enabling this infinite mana combo via Devoted Druid. Hazel's Brewmaster has more flexibility, and we value that much higher these days. We don't want a card that only has one use, because the less a card is only just the B to an AB combo, and the more it's B plus, it's got some extra stuff going on, the less dead draws there are, and the less your deck feels like playing, solitaire. Like many people used to look at CDH and say, oh, those guys are just playing with themselves under the table. Like, no, these decks, the point is that we actually have the most agency possible. That's what we're maximizing, is agency.
Yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree. Like the idea that you can do so many things, so many combos, and like Swift Reconfiguration, Hazel's Brewmaster, the idea here is they both work well, and Hazel's Brewmaster is a good card on its own. Being able to give to take any activated ability of any creature in any graveyard and just put it on the battlefield, and I can get it for free because my food token has all these abilities. That's amazing. That's really good on its own.
It's actually, again, to bring it back to Agatha's Soul Cauldron for a quick second, it's like how Agatha's Soul Cauldron still just says, tap it, remove a card from a graveyard. So if your opponent's trying to go LED through, Underworld Breach, you're just like, well, I'm just going to eat that LED out of your graveyard real quick. Mm-hmm. No, you don't get to do that. The Brewmaster can also just be like, you have that thing? No, you don't. Get rid of it. I might not be able to activate an ability of my food right now, but you don't have a very powerful card in your graveyard anymore.
Yeah. Now, going back to a really big conversation that we had about politics, these being Swiss Army knives has a political advantage. Let's say you do want your Agatha's Soul Cauldron to resolve, knowing you're not going to go for it next turn. Whenever I play an Agatha's Soul Cauldron and I am not going for it, the first words out of my mouth are, I'm worried about Breach hitting next turn. I'd like to have this as some insurance.
Yeah, Agatha's is a very scary card. People really fear it. So I totally get some of the fear. It's funny because in the beginning, when it first came out, people weren't really sure of how good it was going to be. And I think in the decks that it's settled in, it's fantastic. Yeah. It's so good. Namely like Tyam. Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm hoping Wizards makes the rude decision to ban it from Standard so I can finally pick one up for cheap.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Maybe. It's a problem in Standard. It is a problem.
Yeah.
Although I will say I did beat it. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. It's not impossible.
Nice. So I think we have now an even bigger topic. And this is something I think that no other podcast I was able to find. I love scrounging the YouTube space before we start these conversations to see, has anyone else really covered this, or fully? And I want to start talking about the nitty gritty and a little bit more of the Geneva suggestion that we're going to, that's the topic here. Geneva suggestion. What if we just don't run interaction and we run more combos? What if you keep playing games with interaction stuck in your hand and you go, man, I would have liked to go for a turn earlier, but instead I had Swan Song in my hand, and I think maybe I should have been running Doomsday in my Prosper deck so I can instantly crack it end step with Prosper Tomebound, which exiles to carve off the top of your library at end step, and then go, oh, look, it's Final Fortune. Guess I'll take an extra turn. And then you've got your Doomsday pile set. What if when, we're playing any of our giant Wooburg commanders, we decide, why not? Why not run World Gorger? Other than the fact that it could kill me, why not?
I mean, I think that's great. Do it. I am a fan of not playing interaction. Yeah, like most recently, I played in a league, and I was number one in the league, and my deck out of 297 players, I was number one with a deck that plays no interaction. It just puts big creatures into play and make people deal with it, and
Yeah.
I am a fan of this strategy, big fan of the strategy. So, it's definitely up to the player though, because you have to have a very unique deck that people don't understand immediately, where you can kind of get away with a brewer's advantage.
Yeah.
Because if you're running like, okay, I want to run Thoracle deck. I'm going to have a bunch of different ways to win with Thoracle, and Laboratory Maniac, which does a similar thing to Thoracle, and Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. And it does the same thing, and I'm just going to run all these cards and do the same thing all the time. And then people, like, you can keep windmill slamming your win cons, but if people understand how the win cons work, you're probably going to have a hard time. Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't just have to be Brewer's advantage anymore. I think it just needs to be something the meta isn't currently attacking. And I'd love to hand it over to Zeb. And Zeb, let me kind of tee you up on this for a moment. So right now, we have ways to interact specifically with the Thoracle combo, with the Breach combo, and with combos that normally start with a tutor to battlefield, such as Court of Calling. We're very good at handling non-creature spells. We're very good at that, you know? And so we have Deflecting Swat. We have our Fierce Guardianships. You know, we have even our, some of us are now running Misdirections, things like that. And there are combos that get around that due to their direct to battlefield creature heavy nature. And I wonder, Zeb, I know you play a fair amount of what I would like to consider off meta decks. Do you see it as Brewer's advantage, or do you see it more as like a different angle?
For the most part, it's a bit of a different angle. I like messing around with those decks because for the most part, I am using the normal like win cons. Like in my Master of Keys list, it's still using just Displacer Kitten and Jin Illuminatus, Hullbreaker Horror, and we're just trying to blink stuff. It's just a different way of getting to that win condition, right? So I guess in a way, the Brewer's advantage comes from, I don't know how you're getting to that end state, but I know what the end state is. And like with Lotho, it's also very much like that. There are other decks that try to use the Abdel line. It's just that Lotho is, I want to mana ramp super fast, start going on turn 2, 3, when you guys would expect it on turn 4 or 5, after doing mid-range grind. So I think that it's just a lot of knowing your meta and knowing what people are expecting. Because at this point, outside of a few like really fringe decks that no one's ever seen before, because like I've seen casual commander decks put up numbers at a CEDH tournament for for a couple rounds before people understood what was going on. Just because if you don't remember all of the cards in the deck, that's technically Brewer's advantage, right? But after a little bit, people catch on. And that's also what I'm afraid of when it comes to like not running enough removal, perhaps, because then it becomes like, hey, literally the final round of Pittsburgh, of Steel City, was a pretty much removal-less 2-turn win attempt, right? Yeah. Like, I don't think I saw a single piece of removal happen there. And that's what I think a lot of what will happen then if no one's running removal is then it becomes faster, and it'll turn around and then have people pushing removal again because they're like, oh, everyone's going super fast and loose and not running removal. I'm going to, turn this around on them, right? So Hire was able to, in that league, just kind of jam through because he read the meta, read that there was not going to be a lot of like everyone was going high removal, so he just was like, I'm just going to go high combo and force my way through all of their removal because they're not going to have follow-ups,
Absolutely. And I think that's another point to make out here, which is that when we aren't running specific types of interaction, when removal's low, we'll see the pendulum swing. And that's kind of what's exciting about CEDH is we aren't going to get a solved meta because it's so player dependent. It's not like standard, arena where there's like millions of games being played every month. There is maybe 1 million games of CEDH being recorded a month via Discord leagues and tournaments tops. It's not millions. And, we're getting to that point. We're getting more. But at the moment, it's such a Wild West territory that nailing down what type of interaction to bring to the table, I think will be impossible for a game of this size when it's 100 card Singleton free-for-all. And so everyone gets to slowly read metas. And I think a lot of people, like you said, at Steel City, when we were in Pittsburgh, everyone went, man, I really wish I would have jammed more, because there were people with incredible records, 3 wins, a single loss, and 4 draws that did not get into the top 16 because that meta was Jam City, which is my favorite type of Magic. I love jamming. And so it was cool to see responsible decks played perfectly. I mean, these guys played flawless. That's an insane record. 3 wins, 1 loss, 4 draws. That's incredible. And not make it in because the meta was get those points, get those wins.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's... I would be so frustrated. I'd be so frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think respecting the meta is important. Also, like in regards to the conversation as a whole, right? The idea that the meta currently has a couple of different forms. One of them is this mid-range where people are getting their value engines out turn 1, turn 2, right? Their Ristics, Mystics, and everything else, Smothering Tithe. And in the past, what that has done is made it so everybody has cards, everyone has interaction, and then someone puts literally a random spell on the stack, and that one spell gets a little bit of interaction, and that a little bit of interaction turns into card draw and Smothering Tithe triggers, and then all of a sudden this stack starts to build and build, and you'll see it. It'll be like 8 or cards deep, and you're like, wait a minute, like something's happening here. And if this stack doesn't resolve fully, I think the game is going to end here. This is it. This is the opportunity. And then all of a sudden the Valley Flood colors come out and all these instant speed enablers start happening. And that's why I think some of these like combos that we currently see are really focused on trying to win probably at instant speed, specifically like the Valley Flood Caller Banishing Knack line. This is instant speed line. This line wins the game instant speed. Most Protean Hulk lines are trying to just put a Protean Hulk on the battlefield and killing it immediately, right?
Yep.
Not letting anyone, right? So this is what I'm talking about. This is like looking at the meta and taking win cons that will respect the meta and be able to put you in a position where you actually can resolve your win condition.
Yep. And we're looking more and more into how is the meta being shaped by the wins we're seeing on camera? What are these big events showing to people that they get interested in? And we saw, I think, 2 of the most impactful games actually were not just finals of Steel City. It was the end of day 1 and the top 16 game that happened where a Rogsai on turn 2 and seat 2 gave Aristic 8 cards. And he went, you don't have it. You're tapped out on Aristic. You don't have interaction. And they did not. And that Rogsai player jammed straight through and won. And that's very common. Ristic will be played tapped out for someone on turn 2 thinking that is enough of a safety net, and it's not. And then the day before, the end of day 1 in round 6, we saw Comedian play, Necropotence countered. Okay, that's fine. Mnemonic Betrayal, that gets countered. Okay, that's fine. Or, sorry, it was Mnemonic Betrayal, Ad Nauseum, Necropotence, and they went, we're at it. Dude, that's so much. Why do you have 3 win cons in hand? And they were like, can I go for it? Cool. Valley Flood Caller. Oh, it was just like,
golly. Yeah, that's tough.
Damn. And
That
so
just
I
jammed
think
the games.
the charge I want to give to everyone watching is you need to know in your meta and in your deck what's that right ratio of jam versus responsibility, the flavor versus like the actual pasta of the dish, like what's keeping it, together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 100%.
I would love to know also, now that we are watching these commander centric combos get phased out, one that was very fun for me when it came out, and this was more of like a haha, did you know this commander has a 1 card combo, was Tiamat. When Tiamat came out, we went, this ancient card called Dream Halls says you can discard a card of the same color and play a spell for free. So if I play Tiamat, then I can play all the dragons that I get through Tiamat for free and instantly win the game. And it was cool. But like pre-Thassa's, pre-Breach, pre-Flash, that would have been the most broken thing on the planet. That would have been like everyone's playing 5-color Tiamat. That deck would have been insane pre-Breach. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Dream Halls, by the way. Dream Halls. That is a deep cut.
Yeah.
Instead of paying the casting cost for a spell of any color, its caster may choose and discard a card that shares at least 1 color with that spell. If the spell has X in it and its casting cost X is 0. Okay. It's 2018.
Okay, it's 20. Let me close my eyes. Let me get into this. All right, what would I be wearing? I feel like I'm definitely rocking something from either, what's the goth store?
Hot Topic.
I'm rocking some Journeys, Hot Topic. Okay, what's next? What am I playing?
All right. Okay, you're playing mono blue. You're playing you're playing old Azami.
Oh.
Right? Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay. In this pod. And this guy who is like known for like being a little bit spiteful. He's playing mono blue. I mean, come on. All right. So he casts Dream Halls. And at the time I'm playing Silvala, Heart of the Wilds, mono green. And he casts the Dream Halls, and immediately I'm like, okay, great. Now all the spells he has are free, and he has a million counter spells. None of our spells are resolving. I'm like, all right, that's fine, I guess. That's fine. He plays Dream Halls, and then he casts Time Twister.
Yeah.
Okay, we're twistering. That's fine. Okay. When we twister, what he got was just artifacts. Like it was artifacts and lands. He got no counter spells. I drew into a bunch of good stuff. So I've been a big like connoisseur of mono green for a long time. And so in my hand, I had wins. That's all I had. I had wins. I had Great Oak Guardian. I had Lurking Predators. I had all these like cards. I put him out, and he got so mad that he scooped when my Lurking Predators was on the stack. And I was like, bruh, you brought this on yourself. You wanted this to happen. This is on you, big guy. And like the biggest thing about playing cards like Dream Halls is you have to be prepared for the consequences. It's kind of like show and tell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, they might have the perfect way to deal with whatever you're trying to put on the battlefield. So I always encourage people when it comes to using these old combos that, there's a reason why they probably aren't played anymore, but there's also a reason why they might deserve to come back. That just depends on how willing you are to find out.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're getting to a point where we are looking into the past for things that now are good enough to see play now that Dockside's gone, for example. I think there's a big reason we've brought some of these back. But then you can't look behind too long, because you know what just whizzed by every Tivit player's face was Tezzeret. Out of nowhere, they went, wait, 1-card win con? Where'd that go? What? And everyone realized that, consistently 6 sets a year from standard, you're going to get a combo or two out of every other set.
Yeah, for sure. also forgetting like old combos also can like I'm going through my decks and my old cards. I'm like, oh yeah, this card used to be a thing. This used to be like how we win games. I totally
Yeah.
remember this. Oh yeah, Dockside got banned. That's why we don't use it anymore. Okay, but it could still be good, right? Like I have that constant thought all the time.
Yeah.
I am so down.
I think the one card I've been jamming the most recently that everyone I know who started playing CDH during the pandemic has always been like, wait, that's a thing, is Doomsday. And that's been the most fun for me playing any Tymna deck. I run Doomsday in all of my Tymna decks as a one card win con because I can crack the pile. My Raffine list runs Doomsday. My Tale of Two Tymnas, my Tymna Jessica, because I know if I can just get that top card, this says win the game for 3 black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I really love seeing each different kind of decks Doomsday pile, because there's the mono black one, there's the black blue pile, then there's like the for a while there was blue farm pile and stuff like that, and like usually the more colors you have access to, the more samey they become, but like there's some that are just like very, very specific in order to like do what they're supposed to. A lot of fun seeing the ingenuity that like goes into some of the Doomsday piles.
Yeah. Over on my channel recently, we were talking about Doomsday piles that have flavor, and we did a demons only Doomsday pile with the new Rakdos Final Fantasy Night Human that says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you get to surveil. So we would cast Doomsday. We would cast a reanimate target that says reanimate the top card of your library so it doesn't actually have to target the creature. Surveil Demon Lord Belzenlock from Ravnica Allegiance that says when it enters the battlefield, reveal cards off the top of your library. And if it's more than 4 CMC and a demon, you get to put it in your hand and repeat the process. So you get all the demons, and the last card of the pile is Crick. So then you play them all out for free and win the game. It's the dumbest Doomsday pile, but we were talking about how to make like bracket 3 Doomsday cool, and I'm like, a demon only Doomsday, that someone will be okay with that in bracket 3. They will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I want to do this. This is the life I want to live.
Such a fun deck. Yeah. Well, guys, I think we have yapped our heads off. I think we've talked about all of our favorite combos recently and why are we not? We're running it. But again, we had this conversation to talk about whether or not you should be running a certain amount of combos. But I think in the end, it boils down to, are you running enough interaction to survive until your combo happens? And then also look at your combos and think, do these benefit the deck enough to stay in, or are they going to be dead draws? Is there anything else we can say in our final statement on that?
Food chain wins games, and I think that's right. Like that's spot on, right? You really want balance. And so if you go too far into, I'm going to have a bunch of combos versus, and no ways to like bounce back when my combo gets stopped, you're probably going to win less games. So you want to have the right support, right amount of cards that can make your deck consistent. And I think you're going to win. I think you'll win more games.
Yeah. Just remember what you're going up against, read your meta, play to it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, this has been the Playing with Power podcast. And of course, us here at Playing with Power are very thankful to all of our amazing patrons making this possible. And as you can tell, there's gameplay back on the channel. And so you are supporting us fully in our, second coming of the Ryan, as it were. The beard is on. We are here to bring you guys some gameplay. And as well, thank you so much to Dragon Shield for providing all of us the best way to keep all of our cards safe, as well as looking pretty slick with that art on the back. You know it. Thank you guys to our sponsors. This has been DefCat MTG.
Higher.
And Zeb.
Thank you guys for watching.